All right, now I just turned over to the last chapter in the book of Daniel. Now, Daniel did some prophesying. He talked about the end times. Again, I'm entering right into the middle of a story here. But you need to hear some of the stuff that Daniel was told by God. Okay? And Daniel asked questions. He didn't fully understand everything. But this was recorded for my benefit and yours. This is the last chapter of Daniel, chapter 12. Again, we're entering right into the middle of the story. And there's a bunch of stuff that happened that led up to this. But being as I don't want to read the whole book, I want to talk about other things also. I'm going to read the last chapter. Now, the heading on this chapter is as follows. Michael, the great prince, to deliver the Israelites. Who was Michael? Let's find out. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. He's talking about the book of life. You want to have your name written in the book of life. Some people are raised from the dead to everlasting life, and others are not. They're raised from the dead, but not to something good. Check it out. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake. Those are the dead people. Remember we talked about the dead people? The preachers of today, and they have for many years, you hear, went home to be with the Lord. No, they didn't. They're dead. Let me read this again. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake. Now, if they went home to be with the Lord, how can they be in the dust of the earth and be woken up? It's a lie, what they tell you. It's a lie. They don't read this stuff, and I'm telling you to read it. And those of you that can't read it, I'm doing it for you. Some to everlasting life. That's what I just said a minute ago. And some to shame and everlasting contempt. Those are the ones that did not follow Christ. He's saying, it's appointed unto man once to die. That's a verse in here, right? Everybody's going to die. You're going to die. Until all that changes and there's no more death. But until that time, you're going to die. And you're in the earth. Your body turns to dust. It goes back. But when you're resurrected, if you haven't made your choice before that day, you ain't got another chance. And there's nowhere in this book where it says you do have another chance. There are some denominations out there that will say, yeah, you can have another chance, like the Mormons do, and maybe Jehovah. Anyway, and they that be wise, the ones that were smart, that had knowledge and wisdom, talked about that in some of these other videos. And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever. And they that turn many to righteousness. I'm trying to get you to turn to the right way of living. Righteousness. That's the definition of righteousness. One of the definitions. And it's a very important one. The right way of living. Let me read that again. And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament. That's just the people that got the wisdom and stuff like that, and they follow the right path. But for those, like what I'm doing right now, and this isn't why I'm doing it, this is just a byproduct of what I'm doing. And they that turn many to righteousness, that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to get you to turn to the right way of living. And they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever. The brightness, the happiness is it's so big and wonderful, you can't even describe it. How can we as mere people understand a description of the stars? They're millions and millions of miles away and you can see them. That's a big light. Oh, let me read some more. Oh, this is Michael or God, talking to Daniel. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. Because a lot more people are going to understand. It's going to more and more and more. One of the ways that happens is if some of you folks who are able to, if you know how to ricochet these videos to other people and spread this word. It's free, man. I'm not one of those preachers that come on, yeah, you send me your money so I can keep on the air and do all this stuff, Send me your money so I can preach some more. No, this is free. There's no cost here. I already bought all this stuff. There's no cost. It's free. This is the way to eternal life. I'm just sharing it with you. And many shall run to and fro. In other words, we're going to be going all over the place. And knowledge shall be increased. That's what's going to happen at the end times. Then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, there stood two other folks. The one on this side of the bank of the river, and the other on that side of the bank of the river. And one said to the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, who do you think that was? Huh? You got an angel on this side, an angel on that side, and you got one standing right in the middle, on top of the water, in the middle of the river. Who do you think that was? It certainly was not the Pope. It wasn't that Archbishop or the Cardinal or Timothy Dolan, that fat, pompous ass up there in New York. It's not those Catholics. This has to do with God, you understand? And one said to the man clothed in linen, which was on the poured waters of the river, how long shall it be to the end of these wonders? This is the prophecy, and they're wanting to know, an explanation. And Daniel, I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, and swear by him that liveth forever, that it shall be for a time, times, and an half. And when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished. Sounds like an angel, because he was talking to God. He was talking about God. And I heard, but I understood not. This is Daniel. Then said I, O my Lord, what shall be the end of these things? And he said, Go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed till the time of the end. Many shall be purified and made white and tried. I don't fully understand that and tried part. Are they going to go through some crap? But the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand. If you receive the knowledge and the wisdom that I talked about in another video, it says it right here, but the wise shall understand. We can understand everything that's written in this book, a little at a time, line upon line, precept upon precept. Verse 11 of chapter 12, and there's only 13, so we're almost at the end of Daniel. And from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate set up, there shall be 1,290 days. Here he is talking about when this is going to happen, and all them days have a significant meaning. Blessed is he that waiteth, and cometh to the 1,305 and 30 days. But go thou thy way till the end be, for thou shalt rest. Now he's talking about Daniel here. This is verse 13. Saying this to Daniel. After he said all this other stuff, this is what he says to Daniel. But go thou thy way till the end be, for thou shalt rest. I think he's going to die. And he did, he died. And stand in thy lot at the end of the days. All right? You're going to die, but at the resurrection time, whoosh, you're going to be resurrected at the end of the days. Those days that he was just talking about there. There's Daniel. He was told, hey man, I'm going to resurrect you. Oh, God. And there's so many other people in here that are going to be in the same spot. But there's so many, the numbers of the people that don't make it are billions. That's a lot of folks, man. You hear the liberals talk about overpopulation and destroying the earth by pollution and all that stuff. We don't destroy the earth. We almost do, but God stops it before we do. And he cleans it all up. That doesn't mean we can go out and just throw our garbage everywhere. We have to be responsible. But I almost need to shut this thing off now. No, I don't. I still got a little while to go here. Listen. If you have a Bible, you got to do this. If you're just starting out, it's not easy to understand all this stuff. Now, this Bible here, it's only from 72? 79? I don't remember. But the glue is coming unstuck in the middle of this book, and the pages are falling out. Man, oh wow, look at all the stuff that I got marked in here. All right, I got a note here that was written to me by an older woman. I believe she was a Seventh-day Adventist. Those are people that believe Saturday as being the Lord's day, the Sabbath. Saturday, the seventh day. Not Sunday. Not the Catholic day. That's the day they worship Satan. This note says, read these when you have time. Then it lists a bunch of verses. Isaiah, John, Matthew, John, Isaiah, John. And she writes on the bottom, disobedience to God's commands short circuits prayer. Can you imagine that? If you're being disobedient, not following God's commandments, you're being disobedient, like I was, and you're praying to God, she tells me it short circuits prayer. In other words, here it goes out, gets in the middle of the wire, and it gets shut off because of your disobedience. It doesn't make it to God. Not that he can't hear and he doesn't know, but he turns his back on it. We've been reading this stuff here. Disobedience to God's commands short circuits prayer. I wonder what date it was when I read this. When she sent this to me. God is working in our behalf. Let us not hinder him. Imagine that. She's saying be obedient. Why get in his way? God must fully control whom he empowers. Obedience is the touchstone, the only safe criteria or test of real Christian experience. Though we are not saved by what we do, how we live is the proof that we are saved by the blood of the Lamb. Can you imagine that? I remember reading this in the past. Like I said, this is a big book here. And this little note that was stuck in here, and it was right in the middle of the book of Matthew. And when I was reading in the book of Matthew here over the past couple of months, I saw this, but I just left it where it was at, and I flipped it over, and then I continued to read. I got other things in here. Look at this notepad I got here. It's one of them things you pull them and they're sticky. All right, I got a little note on here. All right, I can find this. Let's see. Genesis 6:5. Let me look at that. All right, I gotta knock this off, but I'll be right back.